Hey everybody, it's LavenderTowne, and today we're going to be talking about the expectations versus the realities of being a YouTuber. I've been a YouTuber for about 1.5 years now, and I think a lot of people are curious about what it's like, and I always like doing these expectations versus reality videos because it's just fun to think about how different things can turn out than what you initially imagine them to be. So let's get started. So when I was a little kid and I was first watching YouTube, I thought a lot about being a YouTube star because it was like a new thing that nobody had really heard of, and we were just starting to see people actually doing it and making a living at it, and it just seemed so cool to me. But I definitely didn't understand what it's actually like to tell people that that's what you do for a living. Now, obviously, I am not a YouTube star or a celebrity or anything like that, but it is my full-time job. And so technically, anytime someone asks me what I do for a living, I don't actually have another answer other than YouTube. So I always pictured it when I was a kid that it would be like this super glamorous thing, and like you'd be like, oh yeah, that's right, I do YouTube, and you know, everyone would be super impressed and like, wow, that's amazing. But while some people do react that way, a lot of people I have to tell what I do for a living don't even know what the heck that is, even though this is something that's, you know, been going on for quite a while now. The older generation still has like no earthly idea what you mean when you say you're a YouTuber. A lot of people, no matter what I say, will assume that that's kind of like my hobby and that I have some kind of other job, like I'm like working at Starbucks or something on the side, or doing some other kind of career. And like literally, no matter how I say it, they'll continue to think that YouTube is not my job. So it's really weird because you feel like you have to like prove yourself, or they think you're like lying about it, and it's really awkward and strange. So like, for example, I went to a party not that long ago, and I met a big group of people who somebody I knew worked with, and they didn't really know me at all. So they asked me what I do, like what my career is, and I told them that I do YouTube, and I even specifically said that like I'm lucky enough that I'm able to support myself just with YouTube, and I was like being pretty clear about it. And still, literally, like most people at that party's reaction was like, oh, like, do you want us to like put in a word for you? Like, we could like, maybe I could find someone who like needs an artist or something. Like, do you need a job? And it was just like, I mean, it was very nice of them to offer me that kind of stuff, but it felt really weird because I felt like people were not really hearing what I was saying, which was that I already had a job and I was really happy with it. And that like did not come through at all. Also, like, there's a lot of stuff I didn't anticipate that's kind of hard. Like when you want to get an apartment or something, you want to move out of your parents' house or get a credit card or something, you got to talk to like bankers and landlords about what you do for a living, because they want to know if you're like, you know, are you going to pay back your credit card debt? Are you going to be able to pay your rent? And it's really hard to convince them when you're literally like, you know, working on the internet as a full-time gig. But luckily, my first landlord was really like super old-fashioned. He believed in like a handshake and a good feeling about you. So luckily I was able to get an apartment, no problem. But it was something that I never really anticipated being a problem. I only thought when I was a little kid that you just like saying you're a YouTuber was always going to be like a good thing and like really cool. But in reality, like most people I talk to don't even know what that means. So one of the things that I believed the most when I was not yet a YouTuber and I wasn't experiencing it myself was that every YouTube creator, no matter who you were, would be constantly plagued with hate comments. Now, you hear about hate comments all the time, and it's really, really scary because, especially if you're someone like me who is relatively sensitive to stuff like that and does not take well to being hated by people, it's something that you really want to avoid. But the weird thing is that not only am I not really bothered by hate comments, and it's not like, oh, I've grown such a thick skin, like I'm still just like as much of a sensitive person as I ever was, but I've started to see hate comments as a sign that something is going right. And I don't mean that in the sassy like you're boring if you don't have any haters or whatever. It's not that kind of mentality. Literally, I think that hate comments spike when your video is reaching new people. So basically how this whole logic works is that I started to notice that I was only getting like really generic awful hate comments when a video was doing really well, and I was kind of like, well, this doesn't make sense. Like, why do I only get these comments on successful videos? Well, the reason is that I think that haters only show up, first of all, in communities that they're not already a big part of. Like, if someone's not usually in this very small art YouTube sphere and they're seeing it, they're more likely to leave a hate comment because they don't feel beholden to this group. And then on top of that, I think hate comments are more common when people are confused about what's going on, like when they don't really know what a series is or something like that. Like, I get a lot of hate and criticism for the Do This Not That series. It's one of my most successful series, and I get it usually because people don't understand that it's just a tutorial series that's set up to show you sort of negatives and positives of different techniques, and they see it just as me being bossy or whatever. But the only reason they feel that way is because they haven't watched a lot of these videos. This is the first one that they're seeing, and that actually means that your videos are having reach, which is one of the most important things to growing your channel, is to make sure that new people are seeing them. So literally, I think that hate comments usually mean that something is going right. And the other thing that I got wrong, and this was a really pleasant surprise, is that there actually just aren't that many hate comments that you get. I have been really lucky. Generally, when I go to the comment section, I leave it feeling extremely happy and grateful that I have the community on here that I do. You guys are extremely sweet, and I know a lot of you start or end your comments by saying you think I probably won't read it, but I read almost all the comments, so just know that when you leave nice things on my videos, I do actually read them, and they do actually make me really happy. Next up, I want to talk about YouTube friends and YouTube groups. You may have noticed that there are a lot of groups of people who are all friends with each other within the same niche. And I kind of naturally thought that that just sort of automatically happened once you became a YouTuber who's like around the same subscriber count and sort of a similar niche, that you just like automatically through osmosis have this big squad of YouTube friends. But I've come to realize that unfortunately it doesn't work like that, and it's just like real life where you actually have to reach out to people if you want to become friends with them. And it's so hard when you're a YouTuber to reach out to other YouTubers, because I'm always afraid of coming across like I'm just trying to further my career. Now, this is something that happens for us all the time, where people will send you emails and stuff, and they sort of talk like they want to be your friends, but it turns out that they're just like hoping to get some of your audience, or maybe they're literally like an MCN. A lot of people try to be all buddy-buddy with you, and they actually just want to, get in on the business side of things. And I'm really always very scared to reach out to fellow YouTubers just because of this reason. I'm trying to really push myself to do better about that, because I know that probably most people won't think that about me, but yeah, it's like this weird anxiety I have that people will I'll try to reach out to someone and they'll think, oh, like she's just like warming me up so that I'll like do a collab with her or something like that. It's like surprisingly difficult to reach out to people because of this. I don't know if every YouTuber has this anxiety, but it's definitely a huge problem for me. That being said, I really do want to do more. I want to reach out and make better friends with the YouTubers in this community, because it would be really cool. I like a lot of the people in this community, and it would be neat, but yeah, I'm super shy. And I'm really bummed that I couldn't go to VidCon, because I feel like that's the ultimate loophole, because you're just like all together in the same space, and it seems very natural. But I couldn't go this year because I'm in Tokyo, as you know, and that's a pretty cool place to be too. But next year I am going to VidCon. I don't care what I have to do, I'm gonna be there, because I was so bummed watching my Twitter feed just fill up with people having an amazing time, and I couldn't be there. But yeah, anyway, I've gotten totally off topic. The point is, you don't automatically get YouTube friends and join a YouTube group by having a certain amount of subscribers and being in the right genre. That just doesn't happen. I'm actually not sure how many people actually think that happens. That might have just been my dumb assumption, but anyway. Next up, I want to talk about camera magic and YouTube aesthetics. So when I was getting into YouTube for the first time, I noticed that a lot of YouTubers had a really clear and beautiful aesthetic to their room, especially lifestyle or beauty vloggers. It seemed literally everything in their shot was perfect and beautiful, and it's these soft focus, twinkly lights and succulents on shelves, and just everything was adorable. But now that I'm a YouTuber, where I know the terrible truth about YouTubers and their aesthetics. And the truth is that they probably just perfectly composed the shot. It's not like just a random snap of their room, but actually probably a very carefully crafted section of wall. And there might literally be like an old Top ramen container just out of the shot. I just like, for some reason I thought that YouTubers were like freakishly neat and organized people who had like beautiful homes and everything like that. But I think that a lot of them are like me, where I try to make sure that if I'm filming something with my face in it or whatever, I try to make sure that the background is really cute and that everything looks really nice. But my whole like house doesn't all look like that. I mean, I try, but like you have to have things like trash cans, and like not everything can be perfectly aesthetic. Though I guess sometimes I see entire house tours and it seems like everything is basically perfect. But yeah, I think a lot of YouTubers really try to portray that their life and their room and everything is like really perfect and really cute. But in reality, I think that a lot of us YouTubers are a little bit more messy, a little bit less on brand and aesthetic all the time than we'd like to admit all the time. For example, like usually if I'm gonna film a shot, I try to make sure that the light is just right, and I try to make sure there's not like clutter behind my head, when in reality I always have clutter around me, especially because lately I've been really sick. I don't know if you can tell in my voice. Someone always asks if I'm okay and if I'm sick every time I film anything, so I don't know why that is, but right now I am recovering from a cold, so there's like tissues everywhere, and I'm just like trying to keep them all cleaned up. But like, yeah, life is messy. Life is not a perfect fairy lights and succulents kind of set all the time, and I think that somehow I thought that YouTubers' lives were just like totally ideal all the time because of a little camera trickery. But I will say that I think that doing YouTube has actually made me better at room decorating and stuff like that, because I'm looking at everything like I wanted to set up a shot, and I don't even film that much. Like usually I'm just filming my speed paints, so I can't imagine what it would do if I was like vlogging all the time. So that's it for today's video. Just wanted to talk a little bit about being a YouTuber and stuff like that, because I thought maybe you guys would be interested in that. And yeah, let me know if you want to see more expectations versus reality type content. And yeah, if you have any questions about being a YouTuber, I will try to answer some in the first hour that I post this. So I might be asleep because it's Tokyo time, and it's gonna be I'll try to answer some questions that I get about being a YouTuber if you guys have some, and yeah, I hope you guys are having a good week, and if you got to go to VidCon, I'm really jealous. See you guys next time. Thank you to all of my patrons, including Scott Peterson, Christy Stewart, Paynamel, The Artsy Moose, Elizabeth Alvin, Kampom Hon, Trashomaniac, Micadactyl, Okamore, Matthew Kunke, Blep, Sergeant Pendulum, Shiori, Lena Christine, DeSweet 12, Hiwas, Taka, Lovely, Lachlan MD, Mystic, Enzo Jobert, Yo Boy ST, JJ Jade, La Blah Blah Blah, and Addy Visual.